Hello, this is Old Electronics Fan, and this is going to be a short video for my Pilot radio, the T601. I bought this to go with my console radio that has AM only. This is the case that it came with, and it's okay. It's a bit scratched and beat up here and there. But overall, it's in excellent shape. It's even got the previous owner's name and call sign on it. So I bought this not working. I paid probably more than I should have, but at the time I wanted it, and I thought, well, it's not horrible, so I bought it. So there were a couple of things that I ran into that I thought would be, that I could help, I guess, give other people a heads up for. Because this thing was a little bit of a challenge, because normally when I work on something, if I've checked it out and it looks like everything's going to just work, I do what I normally do. I go through and check all the resistors. In this case, I've replaced all of the capacitors. And that's my tendency, although I don't always do that. If I check capacitors and they look like they're still very healthy, and depending on how much the unit will get used, I may leave them in. So, with this, there used to be in here a mounting bracket. It took up a lot of space, and initially I did sort of just scab in these electrolytics, and but it was a mess. I didn't like how it looked. I didn't like the layout. So I drilled out the rivet that held that little bracket that held the capacitor, the original capacitor in. And then I added this. Now, one of the things I've discovered about this case is that it's made out of aluminum. You might, I don't know if you can see, but there's some solder rosin on the case. So I thought, well, I'll just solder one of these in place, and then I'm good to go. Well, it didn't work out that way. I had to go over here and use a bolt and mount. This has two ears on it that go to the chassis. So my ground is over here. I ran a bolt through the chassis using the same, no, I didn't use the same, I found another hole apparently. So I mounted this in here, and then I mounted what I needed to over here, and then I mounted this. This had a selenium rectifier in it, and I replaced it with this silicone diode. This resistor, which is hiding behind this terminal strip, is 50 ohms for those who were wanting to do one of these. That seemed to give me the voltages that I needed, that I wanted. So that could be a good starting point for somebody. A 50 ohm, I don't remember how many watts that resistor was, 5 watts, something like that. 5 or 10, I forget. So this, of course, is all the easy part, you know, just swapping out components, making sure you got everything right. But let me show you where I got into trouble, a couple of things I had problems with. Alright, why am I focusing in so tightly on this? Well, there's two components now. I've since resoldered this, so this component is sitting up further than it was. But this wire goes down to the bottom of this connection pin, and this one was going to the top. Since I replaced this resistor, obviously I did not replace that one. When I was replacing this one, I heated it just enough to get the old component off, installed a new one, flowed the solder here, doing it fairly quickly, which is my tendency, just heat it and go. And I ran into trouble because the solder solder down here at the bottom had merely become soft. It had not flowed. And the result was, obviously I was moving this as I was working with it, and when I moved it with this solder not really fully flowing but soft, the solder cracked. I had a really fun time finding what had gone wrong, because this thing was staticking and doing bad things. And so I learned a good lesson on that one. Heat the entire pin, make sure everything is flowing. If you don't, you could have problems. Let me see here. What else did I have going on under here? Nothing much. Oh, actually, this tube right here in the corner. Oh, I guess we gotta zoom back out. This is a 6AL5 tube. This is the tube that feeds the output to an amplifier. And this tube almost caused me to give up on trying to repair this. At first, I couldn't get anything out of this, and at the time I didn't have a working signal tracer. So I was going through all kinds of hoops. I was testing tubes, I was changing tubes, in particular this one, and I wasn't getting anywhere. And finally, I got a little bit of life when I moved the tube. And so then I cleaned all the pins on the tube with sandpaper. Then I took a jeweler's screwdriver and took one of the fine screwdriver bits and worked all of the pins, scrubbing them with that screwdriver bit. And finally, I don't know how much time I spent on this, finally I got this to start working. And if I moved it a little bit, it would cut out. If I moved it back, it would turn back on. And so I knew I had to keep working on it, and then finally I got this to actually connect. And now it works fine. I was playing with some other tubes earlier, and I found out that the pins on those tubes are also corroded, because they were behaving kind of like this one was. They were cutting in and out and just doing bad things. But this tube works perfectly, so I know the socket is fine, this tube is fine, but the other tubes need cleaning. The other thing that I ran into with this thing, let's go back here, which thankfully I was watching somebody else's video, which is over there. Where am I going? I don't know. Oh, here we are. Okay. Alright, so this, let's try to put some more light on here. Now, many people will be familiar with this particular issue, and I probably would not have been, and wouldn't have entirely known what was going on. On tuning capacitors, a lot of them have little straps. This one has 2 here and 2 here. Now you would think with 4 straps on this thing that this would remain connected to this. When I first got this, though, only half of the tuning dial was actually working, and it would cut in and out, and it was misbehaving. So I hit it with contact cleaner, and I worked it. I hit it with more contact cleaner, and I worked it. Now that problem is completely gone. It works the way it's supposed to. So that's just another headache that you can run into. But if you've got a section of your tuning range that's dropping in and out, that's staticking or doing bad things, clean the ground straps for your tuner, because that will make a huge difference. Let's see, what else did I want to go through? This is kind of a unique little unit. I'll just mention briefly. They say to use a 4-foot piece of wire. That's what I did. Or use a dipole antenna. And the antenna would hook here. It actually has a wire here that you could hook this. If you hook these two together, it's going to try to use the power cord as an antenna. But where I live, you can forget doing that. It doesn't work. What's fascinating about this little radio is that this was designed back when you'd have a radio with a phono input that probably already had a phono connected to it. Well, that was a bit problematic if you also wanted this connected to the same radio. Well, they were very thoughtful. In fact, they actually give you a lot of connections options. This is an RCA jack, but these two are the same connection. So you could use a shielded wire that you didn't have a connector on it. You could just connect it here and here. Then you could also connect your phono to here. The middle wire would go here, the shield would go here, and when this unit got turned off, the phono would work playing through the radio. When you turn this unit on, then this would work going through the radio. So it was a pretty clever idea. It enabled people to not have to plug and unplug things constantly. You just simply turn things on and off to get what you want, which I thought was a very clever idea. Now I'm going to just play this briefly. I'm going to... I have a little realistic... that works a whole lot better if you plug it in. Alright, good. And we'll just quickly go through. Now, remember, this has only got this little piece of 4-foot wire. This is an old FM tuner, and it does not have AFC. As far as I know, I don't believe it does. It doesn't behave like it's got AFC. Let's see, I think we're all right. Turn that down. Okay. Oh, you know what? It also helps if you plug the cable into the device. Makes a big difference. There we are. And this is a local country station, 107.7. Not entirely easy to get, and yet this is picking it up. So let's see what else we got. There's a sports channel.
I don't need to know. It's probably an HR.
So.
And if you're here today and you're calling Julie Thomas about this earlier this week.
Right. He needs the Republican base to be out.
Using little springs.
So, we're not in a good reception area, but this old radio seems to work pretty good. I was just quickly scanning through. I didn't want to spend a lot of time doing that. I'm going to put this back in its case when I get all done. This is going to get hooked up to my old Sears console, and now I'll be playing FM stations through my old AM only radio. Well, actually it's AM and shortwave. So I'm kind of surprised at how well this thing actually does work. I mean, like I said, I just got this little bitty antenna on there, and it's doing a pretty good job of picking up stations. Some modern radios will do better than this, but I think it does pretty good for what it is. It's old. I don't know how old this is. I wonder if they are being mum about this. It would seem. Model, I'm not seeing. Oh, 47. 1147, this says. So somewhere back in 1947, this radio was built. This little tuner, I should say, was built. So given how old it is, and how basic it is, although it actually, this thing has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tubes. And that doesn't include, obviously it doesn't have an audio section, and it doesn't have a rectifier section, so 5 tubes just for the tuner itself, which is probably why this thing works as well as it does. So it's an intriguing little unit. what this is a transformer, and this thing flipped over on me and bent the display a little bit, which did not make me happy. Fortunately, that's all it did, and it didn't really do a lot of damage. But anyway, so just a quick little video on my T601. I like the little thing. It works pretty well. So anyway, hope that some of the things I found and dealt with help you avoid having similar issues. So like I said, I almost gave up on this thing because I could not get anything out of it. I fought with it and fought with it. I finally got that 6AL5 to work, and then I ran into the other problem with my lousy soldering. And so, yeah, there's lots of ways to make mistakes to give you some serious headaches, and this did. But now it works great. I'm very happy. And if you are thinking about getting one, a little FM tuner, this isn't a bad little unit. But like I said, this does not have AFC. So if you're expecting that, don't buy this. Okay, I couldn't help myself. I wanted to show this together, sitting on top of my Sears console. And these are, I think, the same year. I think this is 47 and this is 47. But anyway, let's see. If I move away from this thing, the reception declines. All I've got is this little wire here for the antenna, and of course I can't leave that running for very long. But now if you, that's actually, there's another station there. I'm surprised I'm picking that up.
To chronic depression, anxiety, and alcohol. As America's veterans face challenges.
And that's a sports station.
You buy home insurance. Now you can go online, get a custom quote, and
So
save
there it
both
is.
time and money.
It's playing
Learn
on
more
my
at progressive.com. That's
my my Silvertone. AM and shortwave radio. It didn't have FM back then. It actually did have a turntable. Let me. Now this turntable is not the original turntable. Let's see here. This friend of mine had an old realistic stereo. He needed it repaired. I wanted a turntable to put in this old radio, and it worked out well because the cartridge in this thing has enough power to work pretty well with this radio. I am working on another turntable, a record changer to put in here, because that's what I really wanted. But this actually works surprisingly well. The cartridge in this is pretty hot, especially when you compare it to some of the modern magnetic or ceramic cartridges that don't have as much power. So I don't know what they had in there, but it works. So anyway, this is the whole unit. You're going to get to see some of my mess here. Oh, I'm going to get this box out of the way. There. Okay. I got to move back some. All right. I can't get the whole thing in. All right, there we are. So this was originally what I was planning on doing, and it's been quite a while getting to this point. That little project sat for a while because, well, you know how it is. You get a new project, and say, oh, that's fun, let's do that one, and then there's another, oh, let's do that one, and then this one sits and languishes. But here it is. It's together. It's working really well. I'm extremely happy, and I hope you enjoyed this short little video on this little tuner. I had a lot of fun doing this, and it's always gratifying when you finally get something together and it works out the way you want it to. So I thank you for watching this far if you did.